What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marcus, the Money Man, the Appliance Boss, back with another video. Now, I tell you guys, the journey. This is the journey video, the origin story, as Daryl the finisher says. So it didn't always start out, easy. Look at this. It's the grind, man. The stuff that you don't see, the paperwork everywhere, the late nights in this corner. You know how many hours I spent at this desk in my home office developing, plotting out, budgeting, and just really taking the next step and moving forward with the business. I'll show you how I did it and walk you through, my origin story, if you will, on how I built my appliance repair business. Welcome to the Appliance Boss channel. So I started my appliance repair business in 2020, May. So I jumped into the appliance bootcamp course and then dived right in the month after. So my background is a little unique. So I've always been a tinkerer. I always fix things. As a matter of fact, my science project in the second grade was a little light bulb thing with the battery, and you connect it to the light bulb with a switch in the middle to show current flow. That was my first science project. Actually, I think I did that 3 years in a row, which was kind of weird, but it was the only thing that I was good at. So no wonder why I'm in the world of electronics. But I went to school for Purdue. Went to school at Purdue. I studied engineering technology, and I had a good experience working in the hospital repairing medical equipment. But at Purdue, I even had the experience of fixing or installing these computers. So back in the day, cars wasn't, I'm not that old, but in the early 2000s, the computer modules were becoming more advanced, and you could buy these aftermarket kits where you can put on your car, and you can change the rate that your fuel injection pumps and a host of other stuff. So we had a few of those available at the school, and I was able to be a TA. But I'll tell you this whole long, drawn out story just to say I had no ideas about cars. The only thing I can really do on the car is change the brakes, which I did that for a couple of years, made a little side scratch. But the main thing is I went out there and I learned it, and it's the same thing with starting a business. This appliance repair, it's similar, right, to medical technology repair, but it is not the same, okay? But I had a good fundamental base, and I had the mindset to invest in the coaching to be able to learn and understand what this business is about. And yes, it wasn't free, but the value that was provided got us here today, okay? So, and Appliance Bootcamp wasn't my first coaching, right? I've been in the Jay Morrison Academy, Recession Proof, Ty Lopez courses. I've had a marketing company before. I was in sales, mortgage loan officer. So I've invested a lot of time in a lot of different things. Even though I was in medical repair for 17 years, I was looking for what else could I be good at other than fixing stuff or managing people. And I learned, especially going through my MBA, that I love marketing. And even though I'm an introvert, I needed to improve in sales. So my loan officer career allowed me to be able to do sales and learn that game, talking with people, talking with customers, etc. And that's just kind of how I transitioned from loans into the appliance repair. Now, when I started the appliance repair, the very first thing I did was draw out or map out after the LLC and stuff, was map out the org chart. So the org chart is important because it allowed me to take my vision out of my head and put it into the universe. Okay, I had me as the CEO, admins, marketing, HR, what else? Finance. I had all these heads built out in the customer or in the org chart, and then the technicians, what that looked like, call center leads, all etc. Who manages the marketing? And what I did was all of them had the same color. It was my color because when you're starting out, every position is your position. So as a business owner, you're the CEO, but you're the marketing person. You're the person who, has to buy the internet or sweep the floors or get the garbage cans or purchase the parts or fix the stuff, do the invoicing. It's so many things that goes into this. So I started with a org chart, and I began to fill in the org chart. So my first hire was part-time. I was able to hire at the time a lead CSR, and then also part-time virtual assistant who helps manage some of the special projects. I did special projects at first. From May I did like the foundational work. June was foundational work, was mainly hunting down vehicles, because I don't know if you guys remember 2020, vehicles were hard to find. So I found one in June, hunted it down, got it. And then July, I hired VA part-time. We started building the back end for the training. So it was all about that vision. Okay, I need a vehicle. I need to understand what I'm doing more to build a training program to be able to bring people in. With me not having worked in this industry for 20 years, I needed some kind of information to be able to get people on board as quickly as possible. Okay, so part of the VA's job, he's created a training thing, but also too, all three of us, we worked together to understand what our workflows would look like. So I signed up with warranty companies, and then we took off. We had Square in place, we were taking money, we were invoicing to the warranty companies, we were scheduling calls. So we were a full-fledged business with me doing all of the work, and at the same time, we're learning together. So, you don't want to take a whole bunch of calls all at once. You only want to limit yourself to one, maybe 2 calls max per day. So that way you can understand how your business functions, and you can document all of the processes that can take you from 0 to $1 million. But at the very beginning, that wasn't really the goal. I had it in my mind that I can make $1 million, but I just didn't understand how I would get there, especially at the beginning. So if you watch all my other videos to this point, you can take that information, you can put it into place, and I'm giving you the $1 million blueprint just from watching these videos. Okay. And after that, I hired for my first technician. And at that point, we still had to learn. We had growing pains. There were some things that we didn't have access to. I had appliances in my garage, and we called it Garage University. That was our first spot where anybody who would come on, or he and I, we would go and we would tear stuff down, put it back together, dryer vent cleanings, tested at my house. We had this old washer that we just wrecked. We took that thing apart so many times. Matter of fact, we still have, this is our second dryer. Our original dryer, we ripped that thing apart so many times. We purchased these things just off of Facebook Marketplace. I think I paid $100 per. They were in like bad shape, but my guy was like, yeah, they work. I didn't really care. I just wanted something to tear down, and we can test the components and do everything that we needed to do. So I created that environment where we didn't have a lot of calls. So even when I hired my first technician, we had days where we had no calls. So those days we would watch videos. We would be on Appliantology, and we would just find stuff on YouTube and just put together knowledge. We studied and got our sales system, EPA certifications, and man, it was, I remember those first, and I want to say He came in September, October. September was kind of slow. We would do one call, maybe two was like a real busy day. Three was like, ooh, out of control. But October, we were pretty consistent in October with about 2 calls a day, 3. And, just to back up, 2-3 calls with, a lead CSR, a virtual assistant part-time, and a full-time technician. I wasn't taking any salary. I had saved up a year's worth of salary. So my focus wasn't on get to the money, make the money. My focus was on build the system, okay? Because once the system works, the system generates the money, okay? That's my opinion, and that's what I've done on the healthcare side, and I'm just duplicating what I know works, okay, and using the skills that I learned along the way. So I built the system, and by the time we hit November, so we went September, October, November blew up. Basically, he was running, he had kicked me out of the truck. We were pairing up. At that time, he kicked me out of the truck. He wanted to go by himself, and he was doing 4 calls a day, which was like crazy. So, it will fluctuate 2 to 4, but most of them probably an average of 3 calls, but mostly 4 calls a day, some 5 calls a day, which was like, that's too much. So we were really, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon type of experience. He didn't have any experience as well, but I know if we had kept up that same momentum, it was time to hire a second one. So in December, the first week, it was the same pace as November, and so I put out a job ad, and I started interviewing, and I found someone, and they started. So Jake started right after the new year, and it was cool because I had just got the second vehicle. So we were running into problems where Eric would have 4 calls or 5 calls, and we get another one. It's like, man, do you really want to lose that money? So, occasionally I would have to go out, or parts would come in, and we needed to feed them parts, keep everything going to make sure the cash flow was up to speed. Now we bring in Jake, and because we weren't like completely overloaded, we had the ability to train Jake, and then the floodgates just poured open. So I think we were maybe 3 days into his training, and it was just like, yo, man, I need you to go take a call type of deal. We started really using Google ads. We were using the PPC Google ads. And keep in mind, my Google My Business was suspended. So I got it suspended in June, and they didn't give it back to me till almost April. So at this time, I'm using Google PPC. I'm learning the game. So I got this special technique that I developed. So I use Yelp. And I can't think of what else I use, but those are my primary 2 that I would use. So I got the special technique for Yelp and special technique for Google PPC that I started implementing. And man, it gave us good results. Oh, and Google LSA. Google LSA kicked in towards the end of January, and the strategies that I used to kind of propel myself up, because we didn't really have any reviews. I think by January, February, we had maybe 10 reviews on Google. No, we had no reviews on Google because we didn't have the Google My Business. So it was like a struggle. It was, people would think maybe we're not a local company because my VA, one of them, or at this time we had hired a second because our call flow had increased. They were based out of Dubai and the Philippines at the time. So it was kind of like, are you local? Is this a scam? We didn't have any reviews online, but our website looked pretty good. So that was a promise and a promising thing. I did the website myself at the beginning, and man, I spent a lot of time, and even like doing like little videos, trying to get SEO up. It didn't work, but I'll get to the SEO part at the moment. But after we got going, it brought us to the next phase. So now I got 2 technicians. I've got a lead CSR doing the billing and authorizations, and I got 2 people answering the phones. One now working full day with this, and then another one working part hours, 4 to 6 hours. Okay, so now at the same time, it sounds like a lot of support staff, but keep in mind we had no idea what we were doing. We were excited to be doing about 60 calls a month. In February, I think it was like 65 or something in that range. And then we were like, oh, we're busy. Oh, we're swamped. But I saw the Google LSAs, the Google PPC, and the Yelp, the strategies that I put in place for those advertising platforms with the business cards. We had got those around that time. We're really kind of leaving an impression, and we were beginning to make a name for ourselves in the community. So now I'm shifting to, okay, now it's time to scale. So I hired 2 more technicians at the same time and purchased 2 vehicles at the same time. So we went from 2 technicians and myself to 2 more technicians hired. One had no experience, could barely do any type of repairs, couldn't do any type of repairs at all. And another guy who had some experience, a lot of experience, but not a lot of reps in the appliance repair, more of a handyman maintenance type of guy. Okay. Now this is where I really started to see, okay, we use those same training videos that were developed at the beginning to run the guys through those to see how they responded, how they're able to manage calls. Then it was, okay, how can we layer systems? So I started developing the back-end system right around the time they got hired. So when they hired, we had our first app, web app, where we can order parts and do work orders and manage it all from one place that was clear. Okay, so I was investing money back in. Remember, I got 1 year's worth of salary saved up. Okay, now we had 2 people and we're running calls, and we hit a good high point in May, and then now we go into June, and we're into May, we start losing people. Now this is the part where I didn't plan for in my budget. Okay, so you never plan to lose people, but keep in mind you're going to lose people. You can't make people stay forever. You know, this isn't the 70s where people will get the job, start there, and retire. Okay, people get bored. People, may not agree with everything that you want to do, but you as the business owner and the CEO, you have to guide the ship, understand that, not take offense, not take it personal, but have the foundation in place to be able to sustain that. Now, at the time, I did not, but, and I worried a lot, but after it happened, it was like, okay, this isn't so bad. All we did is lose revenue, which sounds crazy because I'm not taking a salary or taking on any money at that time, but I can deal with understanding we're going to lose revenue, because if you start tracking how much revenue each person is making, then you can predict what kind of impact that's going to have on your business. And after the first time that happened, then I can say, okay, I can really predict, what kind of impact this is going to happen. So then I can understand how much can I spend to accelerate training. So that was the next step. So I hired 2 people. So 1 person left, hired 2 guys. So I'm still in full expansion mode. And of the 2 guys, 1 guy disappeared. Still haven't heard from him. It's been almost a year and a half later. Don't know what happened to the guy. Sent him this check. Call it a day. But hired 2 people, purchased another vehicle, and at this point, I'm buying vehicles cash. So everything that we're making, I'm investing back into the business. So we have So just to track that year, 2021, I bought 3 vans. The previous year, I bought 2. So I'm at 5 total, all cash. And we dip down in revenue, but there's always a dip when you lose somebody. And when you hire somebody, your expenses are going to go up because now you have salary to pay for. Okay. So now you lost the revenue and you lost the margin that's appropriate, right, with that person's revenue. And then when you add somebody, it's going to eat into everybody else's margin until they start to make money. Okay. So that's when our training program, we hired the 2 people, really started. So I put together just what we're going to do. We moved into this new office that you see here, and we said, okay, this is what we're going to do on this day. We're going to break down this on this day. And we still didn't have PowerPoints or anything like that. We're still using the videos, but then we take the videos and then we have more appliances here and then at our storage unit. So if we're going to watch videos on refrigerators, then we'll go and rip down the refrigerator here. If we're going to watch videos on dryers, and then we'll turn around and rip down dryers right here, test components here. So that became the foundation of what was the training program. And then with the next set of people, when we decided to expand into Fresno, was, okay, we need a formalized training plan because I want to be able to train at least 4 people on site here in this office at once. So we hired 4 people. 1 person didn't show up on the first day. The third person, he showed up and I think he worked like a week and a half, and he was like, hey, I gotta resign. But the 2 other guys, they stayed with me for over a year. It's been over a year now. So that worked out well, but we had this formalized training plan. JCat worked out the PowerPoint presentation based on some of the same videos with guided PowerPoint so we can have a discussion. So we had already understood what kind of parts we were buying for these appliances, so what broke down the most, because in my system, we would have the make and the model and then have a listing of the parts that we ordered for those make and models. So I had statistics. I knew what was the most frequently requested appliance for repair. And then also I knew like which parts we've ordered over and over, because we're ordering from different places, but they're all going into our parts order queue. So in our parts order queue, we can sort and see what type of part we're ordering most commonly and what actual part number it is, so we can start to develop some stock now. Okay, so that was really key part of growth in the company. We now have more robust stock, which we need to replenish. I need to put better systems around it, but we now have the ability to look at that. But the huge part about this was we have a training program where we can basically bring in people with the right foundation and set them up for success. Okay, now what does this all look like? Okay, and then we had another year after the training program plus to get us to this day right now where I'm recording this video. And basically I went from that point, really we're looking to expand and add more technicians. I would hire, lose a couple, hire, lose a couple. And over the time, I noticed even though I was hiring and losing people, revenue was slowly going up. We had a low point where it dipped down at the beginning of 2022 because the sales process, that's, if you watch the Sales Domination live training, click link in the bio to get access to that. But that's where I started to develop the Sales Domination. We would do our Friday sales meetings where we would review work orders, give sales tips, and really develop the 3M process. Okay, so the 3M process with the training process, with our parts ordering process, with our systems is more impactful than adding more people. So now we have all these systems in place. We have these people that are in place. Towards the end of this year, we really start to refine our efficiencies. So what we started with at the beginning of 2020, we did, it was under 400,000, and at the end of 2020, with the same amount of people, we're on that $1 million pace. So we're $1 million revenue company. And it wasn't about adding people, it was about getting more efficient. And if you get more efficient with what you have, you'll have a better, so basically you're inputting better information into the system and you're getting better output out of the system. So you don't need to have 1 million people in your team. You just need to have a mechanism or a way or a system or that cadence to be able to get maximize margin. So the more our company makes, the more the technician makes, the more you can provide healthcare and dental and all these other things that we have. You can get good insurance and even though I like the good cheap stuff, but the cheap stuff can limit you. I remember one time I'm trying to get a COI out, and man, it was like pulling teeth. It was for workers' comp, so we ended up switching that. But that's another story. But but yeah, growing the business, scaling the business. That's really what it's been from then to now, and I hope my story kind of resonates with some of you guys. And it's going to continue going forward. I'm at a point right now where, I joined a peer group. I'll be at the ASTIs, so I'll be a member, and I look forward to those conferences. So I've been before, and I look forward to the next one. So whether you see this before or after, let's call it after. The ASTIs was great. All right, everybody. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. Where are you in your journey, and where are you shooting for? What's your goal? All right. Well, hey, talk to y'all later. Peace.